Hello all, welcome to the Mastering Up YouTube channel. So in the class of Foundations in Plant Physiology and Anatomy, today we will be discussing about water transport in xylem. So let's start with our class. So basically, first of all, before starting our class, today we will be discussing about the mechanism of water transport and what is the importance of water transport, and above all, first we will be discussing about what is xylem. Okay, so let's start with the introduction. So going through the introduction first, water transport in xylem is a fundamental process that allows plants to absorb water from the soil and distribute it to all the parts of the plant, supporting photosynthesis, nutrient transport, temperature regulations. This process occurs primarily through specialized vascular tissue known as xylem, which consists of hollow tube-like structures formed from dead cells. Okay. So basically here important things to note is that water transport in xylem is a fundamental process that allow plants to absorb water from the soil and distribute. So xylem will help the plants to absorb water from the soil and distribute it to all the parts of the plant. And importance, they help in supporting photosynthesis, nutrient transport, temperature regulations and all. This we will be discussing in the last slide. Okay. So this process is occurred through a specialized vascular tissue. There are two types of vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. So for the water transport, xylem is the major specialized vascular tissue, and it consists of dead tubes, the tube cells that are formed from dead cells. Actually, living cells are also present in xylem, but the main water conduction is happens through the dead cells. So now this is actually basically the structure of the vascular vascular cambium and all. So you can see here we have xylem and we have phloem. Here you can see the arrows. Okay, so in xylem the upward arrow is showing and in phloem downward arrow. Basically it is showing that, I think you know, xylem water is transported from soil to upper parts of the plant. Okay, so in water plant it is transferred from soil to upper parts of the plant, while in case of phloem the food is being transported from the leaves, from the area of production, to different parts of the plant. Okay, from the leaves will be in the upper part and roots will be on the lower part. That's why this arrow signifies the location of transport. Okay, now next, key components of xylem. So the structure of, let's discuss about the structure of xylem. Before learning about these things, let's first look at the structures. So basically this is xylem. Okay, here you can see four different structures, elements are present: tracheids, vessels, fibers and parenchyma. So these vessels and tracheids, they are the major they are the major elements that are responsible for the water transport, and this parenchyma and fibers, they help these tracheids and vessels for the water transport. Okay, now let's look at those key components of xylem. First of all, tracheids. Tracheids are long, narrow cells with tapered ends. Tapered ends in the sense, in this picture, you can see this one. This end, they are known as tapered ends. Here you can see these tracheids, they have tapered ends, right? So this is the tapered ends, and also you can see they are long, narrow tubes. So they are long, narrow cells with tapered ends and found both in gymnosperms and angiosperms. Now these vessels, they are shorter, wider, aligned end to end to form a continuous tube, mainly found in angiosperms. Okay, so this note, tracheids are found both in gymnosperms and angiosperms, but vessels are mainly found on angiosperms. Okay, so what are the specifications of vessels? We have, they are shorter, wider cells aligned end to end to form a continuous tube. So in this structure you can see this vessel, they are short, they are wide and they are connected from end to end. They are short and they are wide and they are connected from end to end. Here you I think you cannot see that. They are connected from end to end. Okay, let's look at that picture. Here see, the vessel is connected from end to end. That is being said here. Vessel are short, widened and are connected, aligned end to end to form a continuous tube, mainly found in angiosperms. Now, xylem parenchyma. They are living cells. Okay, so these tracheids and vessels, they are non-living cells, but in case of parenchyma, Parenchyma is a living cell and involves in storage and lateral water transport. Okay, so this parenchyma helps in lateral water transport and also for the storage of food. Okay, so this is the storage. Okay, so this is the main function of xylem parenchyma. Now fibers provide structural support to the xylem. Okay, so this vascular tissue xylem, here this tracheids and vessels, this tracheids and vessels, helps in water transport. In case of parenchyma, they helps in lateral water transport and also in storage. And fibers helps in providing structural support to the plants. Now these are the elements or the components of this xylem. Here we have tracheids, they are long with tapered ends. Vessels, they are widened and connected end to end and shorter. Xylem parenchyma is the living cell and this helps in lateral transport, also in storage. Now this xylem fiber, they provide a structural support to the plant. This is the arrangement, how this is the tube that what we call the xylem tube that helps in water transport. This is how the four elements are being organized to form a xylem. We have tracheids, long tubes, we have xylem fibers that provides the structural support, we have vessels, we have xylem parenchyma. So this is what we call xylem. Now we know the structure of xylem. Now we have to know how this water is being transported, the mechanism of water transport in plants. Okay, so the mechanism of water transport. First of all, root absorption. Basically, let me tell you how these things are happening inside the what we call happening inside the root plant. Let's see how water is being absorbed. First of all, just wait. Okay, let me tell you. Here we have a plant. Okay, here we have a plant. We have root here and we have leaves. Here, just imagine we have leaves. You guys know leaves has stomata in it, right? So the leaves will be having stomata, the spores in leaves. There will be small pores present on the leaves, and through these pores, through this stomata, water is being transferred out. Water comes out. So this creates a decrease in the amount of water in the leaves. So that through that water transports from leaf to upper part. Okay, from roots to upper part. But before that, there is water is being absorbed into the root through root pressure. Okay, through osmosis, water enters to the root. Here in this structure, you can see it clearly. Water is present in the root area, in the root hair areas. The concentration of water is less, and around the root hair, water concentration is more. So this, from higher concentration to lower concentration, water moves inside the root. Okay. So that happens through that the water enters into the root. Water enters into the root through osmosis and driven by water potential gradient between soil and root cells. So due to the difference in the water gradient in the soil and root cell, the water enters from higher concentration to lower concentration in the root hair, inside the root hair, and this root hair increases the surface area for maximum. So that we discussed about the increase in surface area in the previous class in the structure of root. But that happens and root enters into the water enters into the root through root hairs, and now after entering into the root hair, this water is being transported into the xylem vessel. This xylem vessel, see, this is the xylem vessel. Okay, so let me change the color. So this is the xylem vessel. Okay, so the xylem vessel is present inside the stem. Okay, so here this is the xylem vessel, and enters from the root soil into the root hair, and from the root hair water is being transported through the xylem to the upper parts of the plant. Okay, so until now reaching of the water from the soil to the root hair was simple, but in this case these trees are high, very high, right? So there need to be some kind of pull for the plants to, for the water to go from this low level to such a high level. So there is that pull is the transpiration pull that happens, that against the gravity this water needs to be transported from this low area to this high area. So that's what happening in the in the beginning I told you, water is being transpiration happens and water comes out from the leaf surface, from the stomata, and this causes a decrease in the water potential, water gradient in the leaves, and this causes an upward pull of the water from the root from the ground level to the upper portion against the gravitational pull. So this is called transpiration pull. Okay, so that was what is happening inside, that is what is happening, that is the mechanism of water transport. Okay, so we will be clearly discussing about these things in this coming slides. Okay, let's start with root absorption. So in root absorption, water enters the root through osmosis, driven by the water potential gradient between the root soil and root cells. The root hair increases the surface area for maximum absorption. So this is clear. Now let's see next. So basically ascent of sap, what is ascent of sap? This term comes in many of the questions. It is the conduction of water and minerals from root to upper parts of the plant. Ascent means, you know, ascent and descent, right? Ascent means from downward to upward, from low to high, that is ascent. So this is the conduction of water and minerals from root to upper parts of the plant. It is called ascent of sap. These things we are discussing, it comes under this ascent of sap. Now next, capillary action. So the water rises through narrow vessels, okay, narrow xylem vessels due to the cohesion and adhesion properties of water molecules. So this water transport is through the capillary action. Capillary action, these things are transferred through a tiny tubes, right? So the water rises through the narrow xylem vessels due to the cohesion and adhesion properties of the water molecules. So this cohesion and adhesion property, what is that? Let's discuss. Okay, so before that, just know this water is being absorbed by the root and it is being transported to the leaves through, transported to the upper parts through this capillary action. Okay, so remember that. Now, after the root absorption, root pressure is something that we have to know. Okay, so what is happening in the root pressure? In certain conditions, ions actively transported into the xylem generate osmotic pressure, pushing the water upwards. Okay, you got it? Thus ions, they are transported actively inside the xylem, so they generate an osmotic pressure. Okay, so due to that osmotic pressure, water is being pushed upwards into the xylem. So let's know how this water is being transported. So two types of pathways there, symplast pathway and apoplast pathway. In symplast pathway, okay, so let's imagine this root here. Water is being either transported through the cytoplasm or it is transported through this cell wall. Okay, so in case of cytoplasm, two types of water transport is happening. They are happening together. Okay, so the water enters to the epidermis. Inside, let's discuss about the symplast pathway. Epidermis, this is the root hair. So water enters to the epidermis, then it goes through the from the plasmodesmata, this goes to the cortex, and next again through the plasmodesmata it goes to the endodermis, and then pericycle, and from the pericycle it enters the xylem vessel. Okay, but in apoplast pathway, it is transported through the cell wall. So this goes like this: epidermis, cortex, and endodermis. In the endodermis, Casparian strips are present. It is present only in this cell wall region, not in the cytoplasm. So it blocks the pathway of water, the apoplast pathway of water through the cell wall. So that's why in the endodermis, the apoplast pathway is emerged into the symplast pathway. So this water transports through the cell wall and in the region of endodermis where Casparian strip is present that allows the water to transport through the cell wall. So this water enters into the cytoplasm, and from the endodermis symplast pathway happens and thus enters the water into xylem. So this happens, this is the pathway of water transport in the root hair. Now due to the root pressure, water is being pulled inside the xylem, and next, this is the major important theory of cohesion and adhesion, due to which water is being transported through the different parts. Okay, first of all, in the cohesion theory, transpiration pull occurs. That I told you in the first point. I told you what is transpiration pull. Water evaporates. Okay, transpiration occurs and water evaporates from the leaf surface, creating a negative pressure. Okay, so it creates a negative pressure that pulls water upward through the xylem. Okay, due to the root pressure, the water enters inside the xylem, and this from the transpiration pull, this water is being pulled from the root to the higher portion of the plant. So this transpiration pull is the major important thing. Then adhesion. So the water needs to be attached to something, right? So in this picture you can see these are the water molecule. You know, H2O, it is the formula water molecule. So here this you can see these water molecules are being connected to each other with hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding is very strong bond. Okay, so this water molecule is connected to each other using hydrogen bonding. So this is called cohesion, and the water molecules attached to the xylem vessels, walls of the xylem vessel, that is called adhesion. Okay, just remember this picture. So in cohesion adhesion theory, first of all, transpiration pulls occurs. Okay, so due to the transpiration pull, water needs to go upwards. Water will go upwards. Okay, so before water going upward, they have to be connected to each other, right? So that is called the cohesion adhesion theory. So the adhesion, the water molecules adhere to the walls of the xylem, and in cohesion, water molecules stick together due to the hydrogen bonding between them. Now the tension. Tension is water being pulled upwards. There is a tension happening there. Okay, due to the transpiration pull, the water is being pulled upwards. So this is the cohesion adhesion theory. This is the main mechanism of water transport. In the root absorption and root pressure, we know how this water is being transported from the root to the xylem. And now here from the xylem, lower part, the water has to be raised to the upper part. That is happening in the cohesion tension theory. Now this is actually here, due to the evaporation, the gradient of water will be low here, and due to the root absorption, the water is absorbed into the root through the osmosis. So here water gradient potential goes from here to here. That's why this arrow is being shown like that. Okay, so the root osmosis, through osmosis water enters into the root hairs, and from the cohesion and adhesion, water being transported through the xylem, and from the xylem it reaches the leaf, and from the leaf, due to the evaporation, water leaves out of the plant. So here you can see root hair. This yellow line, it shows the water transport mechanism. From the root hair it enters, soil particles also enters from the root hair. You can see epidermis. There are different types of names of different structures are present. Just remember, through the root hair, those whole transport mechanism, symplast and apoplast, there is the xylem, and from the xylem, through adhesion and cohesion, cohesion tension theory, during that, this cohesion adhesion, they reach the upper part of the plant through transpiration pull. Okay, that was all how this water is being transported from the root, from the soil through root hair, from the root hair to xylem, from the xylem to different upper part of the plant leaves. Okay, now importance of water transport. Why these all mechanisms are there? What are the importance of this whole mechanism? Why they are being such complex mechanism is present for water transport? Because they helps in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, we know, process of making food. This supplies water needed for the light dependent reaction. Okay, in photosynthesis we will be studying about different types of reactions happening. So for the light dependent reaction, water is needed, and here water is important. Okay, now nutrient distribution. So this through the water, these dissolved minerals and nutrients are being transported to the growing part of the tissues. Now cooling mechanism. This transpiration that is happening there helps in regulate the temperature inside the plant, inside the leaf. So this cooling mechanism, this water transport also helps in cooling mechanism. And structural support. Turgor pressure for water helps maintain the plant rigidity. So the plants are rigid. While studying about the cell structure, we saw that the plant cells, they are rigid. Okay, to maintain the plant rigidity, turgor pressure from the water helps. Okay, so water needs to be there for photosynthesis, nutrient distribution, cooling mechanism, and structural support. So that was all with our class of water transport. Let's just start. Let's just look into that once again. First of all, we had that introduction. We got to know about the location of xylem and phloem. Now we learned about the key components or the elements of the structure of xylem. Then we studied about the mechanism of water transport, root absorption. Then we know about ascent of sap. Then we studied that this water is being transferred to different parts of the plant through the capillary action, that is they are transferred through the narrow xylem vessels. Then we studied about the root pressure. Then cohesion-tension theory. At last we studied about the importance of water transport. So that's all with the class. Thank you all. See you in the next class.